Okay, so we're going to pick up where we left off, and we're going to do another solve by completing the square and applying the square root property. We have negative 4y squared minus 12y plus 5. We're going to move the 5 to the opposite side. The 5 to the other side, it's a negative 5, and then you have to divide by the 4, which is how you get y squared, plus 3y equals a negative 5/4. You want to take 3 divided by 2 and square it, which is 9/4, and add it to both sides. When you do that, you get y plus 3/2. That quantity squared equals 4 divided by 4. And then y plus 3/2 equals the square root of 1, and it's always plus or minus. So then y equals a negative 3/2 plus or minus the square root of 1. And we got that by taking the square roots of both sides. And then you take negative 3 plus or minus 2 divided by 2. In the first case, negative 3 plus 2 is negative 1, which is how you get negative 1/2. Negative 3 minus 2 is negative 5, which is how you get the negative 5/2. Now we're going to look at the quadratic formula. And if you don't remember, the quadratic formula is negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So here again, you need to multiply your two parentheses together, which is your FOIL or your distributive property, however you're used to thinking about it. And on this side, you're going to have to distribute the negative 2c in, and then you're going to have to put your like terms together, which is how you get 10c squared minus c minus 21, and equals negative 2c squared minus 30c. When you put the like terms together, you get 12c squared plus 29c minus 21. So you get negative 29 plus or minus the square root of 29 squared minus 4 times 12 times negative 21, all divided by 2 times 12, which leads into negative 29 plus or minus the square root of 841 minus 1008 divided by 24. Continue simplifying, and you get negative 29 plus or minus the square root of negative 167 over 24. Solve the equations. So you have a negative 14 divided by x squared minus x minus 12 minus 1 divided by x minus 4 equals 2 divided by x plus 3. First, you either need to factor the first one here, or you need to realize that x minus 4 times x plus 3 multiplies to this one. That way you can figure out the common denominator, which is x squared minus x minus 12, or x minus 4 times x minus 3. You're going to multiply everything by the common denominator, and then cancel out the like parts. When you do that, the like parts cancel out here, leaving you negative 14. You distribute negative 1 into the x plus 3 because the x minus 4 is canceled out, and here you're going to distribute the 2 into the x minus 4 because the x plus 3 is canceled out. Then you get negative 14 minus x minus 3 equals 2x minus 8. And that leads into negative 3x equaling 9 when you put your like terms together and isolate the x's on one side and your constants on the other, which leads into x equaling negative 3 when you divide by negative 3. Here you have 4 divided by x squared minus 2x minus 8 minus 1 over x squared minus 16 equals 2 times x squared plus 6x plus 8. You want to factor the denominators, so you get x minus 4 times x plus 2. This one's going to give you x minus 4 times x plus 4, and this one's going to give you x plus 4 times x plus 2. Remember, your common denominator are just all the different ones. So you want to use x minus 4 once, x plus 2 once, and x plus 4 once. Then you're going to want to multiply everything by that. So your common denominator is x minus 4 times x plus 4 times x plus 2. When you do that, the like parts cancel out. So here x minus 4 cancels out and x plus 2 cancels out, and that's why you have 4 times x plus 4. When you do the second part here, the x minus 4 and the x plus 4 cancel out, and that's why you have x plus 2. And when you do the last part, the x plus 4 and the x plus 2 cancel out, and that's why you're left with x minus 4. Then you just want to use your distributive property, get your like terms together, and then divide. And when you do all of that, you come up with x equals negative 22. Now we're going to look at solving absolute value equations. So you have 4 times the absolute value of 2t plus 7 plus 2 equals 22. Remember, you want to isolate your absolute value first. So I'm going to subtract 2 and then divide by 4, which is how we get 2t plus 7 equals 5. And then remember, you solve it the way it is written and you make the answer negative and solve it a second time. So 2t plus 7 equals 5, 2t equals negative 2, and t equals negative 1. Or 2t plus 7 equals negative 5, and 2t equals negative 12, so t equals negative 6. Check both answers. Substitute them in and decide if it's true or not, and they both are. So t equals negative 1 and negative 6. And now solving radical equations. We have the square root of d plus 4 minus the square root of 6 plus 2d equals negative 1. You need to isolate one of the square roots. I chose to do that by adding the square root of 6 plus 2d to the other side. And now you have to square both sides. This will undo the square root on the left, and you will have to FOIL the right hand side. So you're going to get the square root of d plus 4, that quantity squared, and you're going to have to multiply the square root of 6 plus 2d minus 1 times the square root of 6 plus 2d minus 1. The square and the square root cancel each other out, leaving you with d plus 4. When you multiply the square root of 6 plus 2d times the square root of 6 plus 2d, you get 6 plus 2d. Negative 1 times the square root of 6 plus 2d and the negative 1 times the 6 plus square root of 2d leads into negative 2 times the square root of 6 plus 2d. 1 times negative 1 is the positive 1, and now you need to isolate the radical all over again. So you're going to move your 6, your 1, and your t2d to the opposite side, and you get d minus 3 equals negative 2 times the square root of 6 plus 2d. And then you want to divide both sides by negative 2, which changes your d plus 3 to being positive, and your 2 becomes positive, and it equals the square root of 6 plus 2d. Now you square both sides. When you square both sides, you're going to get d squared plus 8d plus 9 divided by 4. And that's not right. I had an error when I FOILed my one side, and this should have been 6d. So what I did was I went in and fixed that and then picked up with recording. So you get d squared plus 6d plus 9 equals 24 plus 8d, which then leads into d squared minus 2d minus 15 equaling 0. So you get d minus 5 times d plus 3 equaling 0. So then either D equals 5 or D equals -3. Don't forget to check your answers and see if one or both of them work. The last one is 2x minus 1 to the 3 halves minus 3 equals 122. Isolate the parentheses. So 2x minus 1 equals 3 halves equals 125. Then raise both sides by the power of 2/3. That way the two fractions multiply to 1. And you get 2x minus 1 equals the cubed root of 125 squared. 2x minus 1 is going to equal 25. Add your 1, 2x equals 26, and then x equals 3.